Medicine time. Hello, welcome back. This is the fourth video on my channel, and if you're coming back, welcome back. If you are new here, hello, my name is Andy. I am a trans woman, and in these videos what I do is talk about stuff. It's very low effort, it's no research, no editing, it's just me talking about stuff, and hopefully you find it interesting or useful and you'll stick around and you watch it. If not, whatever, feel free, no pressure, it's up to you. In the other videos so far, I've talked a little about where I'm from, in terms of how I got to this point, not like as in what country and so on. What was the second video about? It was about what transitioning means to me. Yeah. The third one is about what are my goals, my transitioning goals. And in this video, I would like to talk about the things that I am afraid of or worried about or concerned about when it comes to transitioning. So far, I think my videos have been quite positive because I feel it's been a very positive experience. I am really happy about being in this place. So far, I've experienced very little in the way of negativity. Everybody that I've come out to has been super supportive and positive, and the love that I've been shown is amazing, and I wonder what I've done to deserve such things. It's amazing. I can't believe it. So yeah, I try to stay fairly positive and upbeat, and I just want to get that across in my videos because I think a lot of the time there's this conflation between the trans experience being negative and it's bad and it's difficult, and there's this focus on all of the problems that we go through, and that's perfectly fine because that's true. There are a lot of bad things that happen to trans people, and that's very, very bad. But so far my experience has been quite positive. My experience with therapists has been very positive. My experience with endocrinologists has been very positive, surprisingly so. But that's not to say that I'm blind to the world and the things that are going on in the world. So I thought it would make sense to talk a little bit about the things that worry me particularly. What am I afraid of? What am I anxious about? What keeps me up at night in relation to my connection with transgenderism, I suppose. I mean, I'm going to start off there on what keeps me awake, because actually about a week ago I couldn't sleep, and one of the things that I was kind of like bothered by, let's say, is just how the world has shrunk, metaphorically, obviously, it's not literally shrunk. You know, previously, and even currently, I suppose, I would be free and welcome to visit basically any country in the world. I could visit, I could live there, I could go there as a tourist, or I could go there to live and work, and that would be good, that would be fine. People would probably welcome me and accept me, and that would be grand, and I could, you know, navigate the legal spaces and medical spaces. You know, I lived in the Middle East, I've lived in Asia, I've explored and visited many countries in the world, but that's changed. That's not true anymore. You know, I can't go and live and work in the Middle East now. How could I do that? I would be arrested, I would be thrown in prison. It's not a good thought. I like being in the world. I like exploring the world. It's one of my biggest passions. So suddenly this kind of like barrier to the world, it's not a good thought. But not just the places, but also the people. And as I said at the beginning of this video, the people that I've come out to so far have been incredibly supportive. You know, like some of the questions have been a bit odd that I've been asked. I do wonder what goes through people's heads when they hear this, and it's like, well, what about this or that? Suddenly, apparently, I will know all of the language of shoes, which may be true. I don't know. Maybe that will come, as I don't know. Maybe there's a patch for that. Who knows? But yeah, I'm well aware of the debate and the conversation that goes on, not just online, but in the world in general. There are people who genuinely hate us, and I really don't understand why. All we're trying to do is just to live our lives and to be out there, to be able to express ourselves and to not feel bad about ourselves anymore, to just be able to see ourselves in the mirror, to be able to be perceived in the way that we want to be perceived. And it's, for me, I mean, I guess I can understand it because it's taken me years to kind of figure it all out. Well, to a certain extent. So in a way, I do understand why people find it difficult to kind of to understand our experience, because it is a very complicated one, and it's very, very, very difficult to explain to others what it means to be transgender. We often talk in metaphor because that's sometimes the only way that we can do this, but that also means that some people might not grasp it, or they might, because a metaphor is a kind of unreal scenario. It's difficult to grasp sometimes, or to sort of get a real sense of the reality of that, and apply that to themselves. So I can understand why somebody might not necessarily understand it, but not understanding something doesn't necessarily follow that you hate it. I was going to say I don't understand physics, but yeah, I kind of hate physics as well. So yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand how people can enjoy mushrooms, but I don't hate mushrooms. I just won't engage with them. I won't eat mushrooms. So you don't need to engage with us. You don't need to talk to us. You don't need to come to us in the streets and start attacking us. Like, you don't need to do those things. You do realize that, right? So yeah, there's this shrinking of the world, of people that I will be able to connect with. And as I said, like, actually I might have said this in the last video, I've had a difficult couple of weeks, and partly that is tied into some not impossible to overcome issues with my girlfriend. I think we'll get through it, but it did make me think, well, if we separate, what then? How can I get into another romantic relationship? Who will have me? There will be people that I find attractive, but they won't necessarily want me. I don't know. I know that there are people who don't care about that. They'll see past that. But, there's those people that also have to be, and a part of that, they'll still have to be interested in me. They'll still have to be available. They'll still have to be in a location where I am. That's an ever shrinking number of people. So if I do find myself single again, well, what could I do? I don't know. That'd be difficult. I mean, to be honest, I just accepted, well, maybe I would just always be single, I guess. But that, hopefully I don't have to deal with that. I don't know. So yeah, a shrinking of the world, a shrinking of experiences, that kept me up. That kept me up at night. Yeah. What else worries me? Okay, so I'm really lucky at the moment because I work in a company which is super supportive. As I said, they're really positive, and equality, diversity, and inclusiveness is a central part of their ethos, which is good, and it actively draws people in to work for us. And I'm surrounded by people who, I mean, not everybody comes and works for us because of that. Some people just come because they want a job and they want money, and there are interesting there's interesting work within that company beyond the equality stuff. But at the same time, I'd say the vast majority of people that work for us do have that kind of accepting and tolerant and belief in equality. It is one of the things that drives people to us, but it also it retains people and it maintains that kind of culture within the company. So what if I lose that? Work isn't permanent anymore. There's no reason for me to expect that in 10 years' time I'll be guaranteed a job with them. In 3 years ago, we went through this transformation period where loads of people lost their jobs, people much more qualified, much more experienced, much better than me. They were just dumped without any bio leave. And that really rocked me to my core, because I felt that this company was someone who actually genuinely cared and looked after their employees and tried to look out for them and whatever. But no, the only reason I kept my job was because, well, on that spreadsheet where they looked at the numbers of certain things, I was fine. Not because of any quality that I brought to my job, not because of anything that I'd done in the past, not because of any kind of potential that I had to achieve in the future. Well, the place that I worked needed somebody to do the job, then I was already doing it, so they don't need to get rid of me. And that's not great for your self-confidence, because it's like, well, what's the point of doing a decent job? Well, I came through that and I feel a lot more positive about my place of work and my job in general. And I talked a little bit, I think, in the first video about that I've had a promotion since then as well. But still, in the back of my mind, there is that idea, well, work. You gotta work to live, right? But if I lose that, then that could pose a problem, a genuine problem. In your middle age, you don't want to start scrambling around, starting from the bottom, or having to reskill to work in a new industry. So yeah, there's a genuine worry there, a genuine concern. And actually there's nothing I can do about it. So in a way, I mean, there is things I can do. Obviously, I can continue to learn new skills and blah, blah, blah. But in terms of losing my job, like realistically, is there much I can do about it? I don't know. So it's a worry, but it's not something that I can allow myself to get too worried about. All I can do is focus on doing a good job, improving the skills that I have, trying to prove that I'm an employable person, and we'll see where that goes. What else worries me? Well, I think there's a lot about the future. It's just there's so many unknowns. But I think one thing that doesn't worry me, because I kind of want to finish on a positive, and if anyone's watching this video, I think a lot of you, if anyone's watching this video, yeah, I don't know, 0 views. Probably. Anyway, whatever, I'm rambling. So if you're watching this video, you're probably aware of the narrative that surrounds, trans people in the US, in the UK, in so many different countries and contexts. We are the evil doers du jour. We are a risk, we are a danger, we are all of the bad things, we are the bad guys. And you'd think this would be something that would worry me. And in a way, it kind of does, but only in the sense that I'd rather not have to talk to or meet these people that are pushing this particular question. But does it worry me that somehow trans people are going to be I don't know, like wiped out or whatever? And I'm not sure if I am, because there's one thing that I love, and it's history. I love history, and it's kind of kept me going through the years, because as I've become kind of more and more, as I've had more and more, as I've been given more responsibilities at work, I kind of freak out, because it's like, oh my God, if I make a mistake, if I do something wrong, there's going to be consequences. Things are going to happen. People are going to be inconvenienced. It's going to be a nightmare. But listening to history podcasts and reading history books and stuff, it does put everything into a bit of context. I'm not a military general that is responsible for the deaths of millions, for the overthrowing of a country, which led to, the collapse of their agricultural system and the starvation of millions. There's nothing that I can do that's going to have that kind of impact negatively. I'd like to think positively, maybe I'll change quite a few lives, but I don't know. So that helps me to overcome these kinds of periods of self-doubt and like self-flagellation. Oh my word, how can you make these mistakes? Because mistakes are universal, and when I make mistakes, it's not that big a deal, even though people might get a bit pissed off, but whatever, I can deal with that. But anyway, what's that got to do with the whole trans are bad type thing? Why do I not think that's such a big problem? I mean, it's a problem. Don't get me wrong. It is genuinely awful. And anybody who's unquestioningly parroting transphobic nonsense is actively contributing to the violence and misery that trans people all over the world have to experience. If you are the sort of person who's unthinkingly sharing content from the LGB Alliance, if you are putting on your social media, oh, I don't think that trans men are men, if you are posting on social media, well, I don't know about this trans issue, but maybe there is some danger there, you are contributing to this. Right? Whether you like it or not, you are contributing to this constant cycle of fear-mongering towards trans people who are far more likely to be the victims of crime than to be the perpetrators. Okay? So, get your act together. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about comedians and all of that nonsense. I could go off on one, but it's not even funny, guys. What are you doing? Anyway, whatever. Why am I not worried about this? Because I've seen how it works. I've seen these cycles throughout history. I've seen how the finger of hate was pointed towards Jews, towards women, towards black people, towards homosexuals, towards all of these different groups of people. And yes, a lot of the time it does get a lot worse before it gets better. And I do hope that we don't have to experience some of the things that some of these groups did in the past before we got to a point where people were begrudgingly like, well, actually, maybe they're all right. Maybe, they're not going to admit they're wrong, but maybe they're fine now. I don't know. I mean, in a way, it kind of helped me get over that sort of sense of like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with me, because look at this narrative. If I am trans, then maybe these things apply, but I know that they don't. I know that they don't, because they weren't true for any of these other groups. How can they be true for us? Oh, suddenly, oh no, we were wrong about these groups, but these trans people, yeah, this time, like blood libel, we've got them, right? No, it's bullshit. And humanity has progressed through those, It might take direct action. It might take a lot of difficult periods. But I know that we'll get through this. Because we're not going back into the closet. That is not acceptable. We are going nowhere. Because we can't. There are no steps back for us. And that's the difference between trans people, that's the difference between homosexuals, gay people, black people, women, Jews. There are no steps back. Only forwards. Hateful people, if they go backwards, they will not die. They will not be forced to do things to themselves which will end them, right? But for us, that's what it means. And to a certain extent, the people that are pushing this stuff, they know that, right? But anyway, I feel like I'm getting off. I wanted to end on a positive, but I genuinely feel that we're an immovable force. And, well, I mean, there's only one direction that we can move in. And it will take time. It will take a concerted effort. It will mean that we're going to have to make maybe some difficult choices, difficult decisions, but we will get there. So I'm not worried about the future of trans people because I know that we will succeed. Yeah, on that note, thank you very much for watching. I don't know, do you agree with me? Do you think that I'm being overly optimistic? Do you think that things are only going to get worse and worse and we will never see a point where trans people are widely accepted and respected in society? Do you share my concerns and worries about the future? Do they apply to you as well? I don't know, let me know. Let's have a conversation about it. Put it in the chat, and if you write me a comment, I will do my best to respond to you. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and if you haven't seen them before, check out the other ones, and I hope I will see you again sometime soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye.